Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Lady J, and welcome to another edition of Straight Vibing with Lady J. This one's going to be, this is a personal one for me. Some of you are aware of the fact that I had lost somebody that I shared a past with. And through this relationship that I had with this man, it was toxic, but through that toxic relationship, I learned a lot about myself and just life in general. To lose someone that you had a toxic relationship with and yet you overcame that toxicity, both of you did, and you guys were, evolved as good friends, as a good support system and stuff. And when I first heard it, the first day was just shock for me. It was like, no. And then I woke up the next morning and everything that I looked at was different. The way that I felt was different. I've lost my dad back in 2001, and I lost someone it was actually my first husband. It was his family, and I'm still really close to his family. His dad passed away 2 years ago, and that hit me hard. It was like devastating. But to lose someone that you shared a life with, it hits different. For myself, I have had nothing but flashes of memories, good and bad. The bad ones, I don't, let me make it clear. When I have those memories of the bad times that we shared, that was a growing experience for me. And through this, I have and am learning more about myself and learning that what was relevant to me isn't anymore. The things that I took time and energy for it no longer consumes me to put time and energy into that. I had people walk away from me while I'm going through this loss, which is okay by me. It isn't to a point where I'm sitting there and being like, how could you? That was insensitive and all that. What I'm seeing it as is God is using this situation to humble me and to work on me more. And he's removed certain people from my life that weren't adding to me. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to God for that. I've done a lot of crying, and I don't think I can cry anymore, but then there's moments I just lose it. It it hits different, y'all. It hits different than losing a family member. It hits different when it comes to a friend, but someone who you at one point planned to share a life with. Even though years have gone by and you guys are no longer together and you've moved on and you've grown individually and all that kind of stuff, it just rocks hard. Like my second husband, we were separated at the time. I found out he was shot and killed by an off-duty police officer 2 years after the fact, and it hit hard. Yes, it did. To me, it hit hard because I was married to the guy. We didn't have kids together, but it hit different, but not as much as this one. I sit there and I think of what he would want me to do, what he would want me to say. And I know he would be like, Lady J, live your best life. Fuck everybody. And I've been doing that, but it hits different now with that voice in my head. I wanted to pick up the phone so bad the next morning and just to call out and be like, hey, but I knew that person wasn't going to hit me back. And when you go through that, your eyes open up to a lot of things. I reached out to all my kids. I have been telling people that are close to me, I love you. I was doing this before, but this time it's just, like I say, it's different. When I say I love you, I wish I could just take my internal when I say it and just give it to the person I'm saying it to so they can see how heartfelt that I love you is and how much meaning is behind that I love you compared to previous. Like I said, as far as people walking out of my life during this time, thank you. Thank you for showing me that I don't need people like that in my life. God, thank you for that. Thank you for showing me that, yes, I'm flawed and I can, work in those areas, but just thank you. See, this is the hard part of it, and a lot of us don't seem to learn from it, is that through loss, through pain, comes growth. And at the time, we can't understand that. And for most of us, it's just, we have more questions as to why. And as to, I wish I could have said, I love you. I wish I could have told that person how I felt about them. That's why I've been doing what I've been doing this past few days. I've just really, it's shaken me to my core. Um, but at the same time, I find that some creativeness has come out. I have pads all over my house. I be thinking things and right away I just write, whether it's about my feelings, about an idea that I have, just everything. And I can't grasp an emotion to hold it in because as much as I'm goofing around, within 30 seconds I'm bawling my eyes out. A short time later than that I feel irritated, agitated, angered. I've never asked as to why he is gone. I, there's no reason to ask that because you're not going to get an answer to that. It's just life. With this message, I have to say to you, if there's anything that you have done wrong, again, take accountability for what you've done in things. You have to take time to reflect and apologize where you need to apologize. Tell the ones that need to hear I love you, I love you. Love yourself. Remove yourself from toxic situations. Remove yourself from anything that doesn't serve you purpose. You can't help how others are going to feel. I don't know for myself, I don't know if these people were angered at the fact because I was reaching out to certain people, but I wasn't reaching out to them or whatever it was. And I frankly don't care because that just goes to show the person's true colors and insensitivity when they do something like that. And then sometimes it's the best. You only are allowed a person, everyone's in your life for a season. And sometimes you just have to learn situations through them, and sometimes them walking away, that's the end of that blessing or that chapter, or is a blessing, a starting of a new chapter. But through it, we become better versions of ourselves when we come woke to it. With the relationship with the guy that has passed away from myself, it was one of the most toxic relationships I've ever been in. It was very verbally abusive. This person didn't want me hanging around with certain people because that person felt it was a threat to our relationship. But at the same time was there for the birth of one of my children and a lot of things. So there came a lot of mixed emotions with this, but I know when we've talked as of late before he passed, we reminisced. And, we sit there and we'd be like, man, we was toxic as shit because we were in our 20s. So in your 20s, you're at a different mindset as opposed to when you're in your 40s. And he just made 50. He just turned 50 in late fall. And I definitely have learned through him, see the world, fuck everybody, do you, you got this. And those words just keep ringing in my ears over and over and over again. And you know, it's just still surreal. I got chills. I'm sorry. I just got this chill that just won't leave my body right now. Um, Reach out to your family. Let them know you love them. Come woke within yourself. Love yourself. Don't feel bad for making moves that are right for you, despite what other people may think. Don't be afraid to make moves that benefit you. Don't be afraid to live your best life, regardless of losing a loved one. Know that that person would want you to do that. Know that that person would want you to be a better version of yourself. That's one thing I've definitely taken from this, because I know that's what he would want me to do. This person knew everything about me, knew my dealings, my situations, and all that shit. He'd be like, Lady J, like, fuck it and fuck them. Do you? And here I am, doing me, and I'm even gonna go above what I've already done to this point. It's hard to think as to what you can gain from pain. Because it's like, how do you gain something through pain? How is that possible? You hurt too much. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I know. But you have to realize that when you lose someone, you think about your life. Depending on, for myself, I know when I lost my in-law 2 years ago, even though me and my husband are been divorced for years and years and years, that family is still like my family to this day. I can still go and visit and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to tell you, when I found out that he passed away, it was the day before Father's Day 2 years ago. I was in New York at my best friend's house. And when I lost my dad, I was in my early 20s. So it hit different. I lost my in-law and I fell out on the kitchen floor. And when I say my life flashed before my eyes, my life flashed before my eyes. And that was at a time that I was really going through something. That's when I was starting to write my book, and it had opened up a whole bunch of emotions. And just within, a few days after of, writing this, I go through that. And it was just like, wow. But I was still going through my things. So it hit, and memories flashed through my head, and my life flashed before my eyes, and certain things. But this death, it's just completely different. My life didn't flash before my eyes. It was more like, wow. Let your loved ones know what's up. And, I had conversations, and I took, in between my conversations, I would take time for myself and just cry and release. And I'd be thinking of these things. And you sit there, you can't go back and change what you've done. However, you can learn from that, right? And when I look at as toxic, oh, y'all don't understand how toxic this relationship between him and I was. And I know some of y'all may be like, well, if it was so toxic, why are you grieving so bad? Because I shared something with this man, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. You cannot, you can't go back and change what you've done in your past. However, like people, like I said in the last episode, I believe, when I said, if you could go back in life and change one thing or change something, what would it be? Why? Why would you want to go back and change it? If you are working at being a better version of yourself, why would you want to change that? Because that added you to be where you are today. That was a learning experience that gave you that insight. That's what it was with me with this man. We what we had as a friendship now is stronger than what we had as a relationship back then 20 plus years ago. This is the dude when I've talked about crawling up to the second story to make sure he was home and not cheating on me. This was the man. This was the man who, oh my God, it was toxic back and forth. I can go into stories, but there's no point in talking those stories. But what I'm saying is through all that toxicness, I arise from that. And now that that person's no longer here and knowing through conversations that him and I have had, I know where he's at. I knew where he was at for the most part. He felt bad for what he did. He was trying to be a better version of him, trying to be a better father, a better friend. We're all trying to be better versions of ourselves. And it irritates me when I see people try to conduct themselves that they're better versions of people than other people. And it's like, and then their true colors show. And it's like, really? You really think you were better than me? No, you're not. And as I'm learning all this stuff in recent weeks, and then I'm going through something that is very tragic to me. I haven't lost one of my children yet, thank you, Lord. But this is one of the closest that losses I've ever had. This is like I said, when I lost my dad, it was different. When you lose a parent, it's different as opposed to losing a sibling. Losing a sibling is different than losing a parent or a spouse, or you get what I'm saying, because of the relationship. But for me, you know, I I sit there and I'm just like, we were both better versions than what we were 20 years ago, and we were still a work in progress. But just because of bad things you have done in your life doesn't make you a bad person. And people have the tendency of doing that. And for the people that decided to walk out on a time that I'm going through shit, thank you again. Because through that, I already seen some people's true colors. So I was already feeling some kind of way, but to me, it was, even though they did these things, it was irrelevant. I didn't go chasing for an answer as to, oh, why this, that, how could you? No, sayonara. Thank you. Because as I'm grieving the loss of somebody, I'm overcoming. I'm not grieving my last chapter. That's what I was going to say, but no, that's not what I mean to say. I'm embracing a new chapter in my life through grief, through pain, through loss, through being woke, having my eyes opened. See, I just feel that I need to say this to someone who's watching this right now that is suffering the most painful pain that you have ever felt. I know what that feels like. And there is nothing or nobody that can change that. It's time. But I have found for myself in, the past few days to write down my feelings and to really be into my thoughts and, reaching out when I'm in the headspace to do so, to reach out to those, to let them know how I feel. I'm at a place of contentment right now here that if I was to go, I'd be at peace because the people that I know and I love know how I feel. If I was to go, they wouldn't have to question it. They wouldn't have to. They would know. For myself, I love regardless. I don't care what you've done, where you've been. Excuse me. I just love. And through this, I've learned to love more and love harder. So I want you to know that no matter what pain you go through in life, you can get through it. You will get through it. It is a building block to better things. It may not be clear to you at that time, and that's okay. Everybody has their different growth process. Mine is going to be different from yours. But know, through loss, through pain, you learn and you grow. And things that were relevant become irrelevant. And things that were irrelevant become relevant. You're that much closer to your time here. Not to be depressing, just speaking fact. You don't know when your time is up. With that being said, reach out. Let it be known where you stand. Don't feel bad about what you say or what you do, as long as it's to better you between now and the time of it coming for you to leave this physical earth. I love you. I'm speaking to you through love, through grieving, through pain, through acknowledgement. And I just wanted to relay this message to you. So I hope this helps somebody today. I love you so much for being here, for taking the time out to watch this. I pray from this moment forward that God opens your eyes and opens your heart and puts you where you need to be. And on that, you have a blessed day. I will see you Sunday. Friday, I will be here for Fire Up Friday. Y'all have a super blessed day. And no matter how much pain you're going through, it's temporary. One day closer to better days. Love y'all.